taking it a step further, I had to wait till the judgment come out, and I mean, he already knows this. I mean, he's in the district, he's in the county. You have to file. If you are limited by any portion of the Constitution, you have to file. Mm-hmm. The more files, the more complaints, the more grievances, the more weight it brings to what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So you go down and you file, Sheriff's Department, DA, whatever it may be, so that it can start. And if you have that going for you, the only step that doesn't make sense is the part that you don't do anything.
Yeah.
When you start becoming silent, they win.
Yeah. And
this is where we're at right now is, well, I think we had around 100 people show up last time to give testimony.
We had about 150. They couldn't all give testimony, but I think it was about 150 that came down. And I mean, people had to leave because we closed up the Capitol.
Yeah. Yeah. I was fortunate enough to testify, I say early, I think it was around 3 or 4 p.m., and then have to drive back, but I believe they all were there until 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
I believe because if you were on the ticket, they had to allow you to testify.
Yeah.
And then we went and testified this year for the Judicial Commission on the open forum of that.
Yeah.
Same thing. But it's not changing because they get input from the people who's putting those into play. Laws, discretion, whatever it may be, and they're only listening to them.
Yeah.
They're only doing this portion, and George Saldana, he said it the best, is that y'all have to do this. If you don't do it, then somebody's going to come after you. But that doesn't mean you're going to do anything. You're only hearing it. You're not implementing anything. You're not changing anything.
Right.
And when you say that they're underfunded, to be honest with you, Jeff, when we look at some of these cases, and you saw my complaint, it's black and white. If you piece one portion of that, of a complaint,
it doesn't need that much of a,
then it's all. You would have to assume that it's all.
Yeah.
That is the problem with the investigation. They probably hire somebody that's never done it before because it's probably a low-paying job or a median job, and it's somebody who's needing to pay student loans back, and they're just there to collect a paycheck.
So I've got some suggestions for this. First off, because how do we make the State Commission on Judicial Conduct actually work?
And this will be good to hear.
Yeah. So one of the things is they make the legislature has funded them to about $1.5 million, and I don't know if it's annually or biannually or something like that. But basically, the State Commission of Judicial Conduct is extremely underfunded. Extremely underfunded. They could increase the budget amount by 10 times the amount and they would still be underfunded, in my opinion. I've talked with people on there since 2004 until now. Basically, the caseload has doubled and the amount of people that they have has not doubled. It used to be that they could work, normal days, and now they're having to take stuff home late at night and on the weekends, and they just cannot keep up with it. And then you have the situation where if you seek to get evidence regarding, we'll say that I file a complaint, but I don't file a transcript because I'm not able to buy a transcript from the court because the transcripts cost so much. Well, the State Commission of Judicial Conduct, they have to take money that they don't have to buy this transcript and to look at it, so they don't have enough money to do that. So obviously there's insufficient evidence. It's not going to go forward. And then in addition to that, the judges are so protected that if you file against them and the judge can say, no, that didn't happen, and the judge gets a de novo trial. So there's almost no way to actually win in these cases. Now, what I was going to say is, number one, the budget stuff. Because all these attorneys, they want to tell you, we're so fair. We've got the best judicial system in the entire state of the country. And, well, I would say this. Who is funding the judges' judicial campaigns? Attorneys and law firms. So this, to me, seems to be a very easy solution to help the funding part, and it won't cost the state a penny. For every dollar that an attorney or a law firm donates to a judge for his or her campaign, that law firm or attorney has to donate $1 to the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, because the law firm has told us time and time again that we need to trust the judiciary, no shenanigans. And I just think that this is one way that they could help ensure the people of the state of Texas that, yes, we are buying these judges, but we're also giving money to the State Commission
to review them, right?
Right.
Well,
so that's one way. Well, and I mean, 1-to-1 would be a very good beginning. I also think too, because hey, like if you're a business, you have to pay for audits, and I know this because
Yes.
I'm a regulator and so on. So the bank has to set aside a significant portion to say, hey, we need to have audit of this area and this area and this area and this area. I mean, you can have audits like crazy. I've seen banks that have spent a lot of money on audits. So to me, because these judges have said, we are just such outstanding, upright judges, I think it's very reasonable that a judge should say, and in order so that the public knows that I am that I have full confidence in the integrity of my court, I will donate 2% of my salary to the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, because that's just part of the cost of doing business. It's like they get to audit me in a sense. I also think too that you hear the State Commission on Judicial Conduct say, well, we don't have enough people down here. Well, there's another very easy way to do that. A lot of us have gone into these courts voluntarily on our own. So the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, if they wanted to, they could train us, and we could have a little badge that would certify us. It would say, what, we are certified. We're like the first line of reporting.
Right.
So if it goes through us, we have seen something that now warrants their attention. Because I've heard these people say, well, 80% of the pleadings that they give, that they have, or the cases that are submitted, they're just nonsense. They're nothing. But if you had a group of people, like say maybe we start off with 25 for 1 year, and we just show up anywhere, anytime, we have our badge with us, whatever, we keep it in our pocket, and we observe. And then at the end of the hearing, we can go and we can say we would like to have a copy of this transcript, which should be given for free, because look at if you're being audited or something like that, you have to provide the papers. The transcript is paper.
Yep.
You should not be prejudicial against a litigant in there, and also too, because we know that the courts are actually videotaping and audio taping, and we know that because if there were to be a man that got very upset and attacked a judge, it would come out as evidence on TV. So
Clearly.
So we just say, and also we need a videotape and audio tape of this hearing, so that we can review the allegations, and we know what we're looking for. We know what the judicial canons are. We see this and we write them down, and then also we could do the same thing for the attorneys. So that because there is an oversight committee down in Austin as well, and they take grievances against attorneys. And friend of ours, Brandon Johnson, we were down there, and a couple of other people, George Saldana was there, Terrence Champagne, a few other people. We gave some testimony to this committee. But one of the things Brandon said is that his goal is that we double the complaints each year, because we know that these complaints from these attorneys are legitimate. Like you've said, attorneys will slander, attorneys will testify to lies,
Yep.
will character assassinate you and everything else, and that we should be able to submit these things. So we have people that are trained, and that if we submit a report, it's because we're very objective, we're very impartial, we're trained on what to detect. So now these things have to, we've eliminated the idea that 80% of the reports are now are garbage, and we've said, well, at least 80% of the reports now are actually very strong.
Right.
So there is smoke here, and I mean there's some other things, but I mean those are just some things that we.
I think it's huge, and you talked about that, where people can't afford transcripts, and the state has to go get them, or anybody else for that matter. When you get to the appellate side, is that they already get a salary.
Yeah.
They're already paid by our taxpayers.
They are paid. Yeah, absolutely.
That should be, if nothing else, the cost of the paper it's printed on, and maybe the ink.
Yeah.
Their job, just like with your audit, you're not getting paid separate for your report. The report is a part of the audit.
Yeah.
The transcript is a part of the court, which is what they're hired to do.
Yeah.
I've spent thousands of dollars. In fact, I could show it to you. Thousands of dollars. This is every transcript that I have. 21
transcripts.
21 transcripts.
How many pages in total?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. I mean,
probably about $6 a page, right?
Easily.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're talking about a lot of money that whenever we go and we turn this into the Judicial Commission, there's nothing done with it. So I spent a lot of money to preserve the fact that he did wrong, to preserve the fact that the associate judge did wrong, to preserve the fact that the lawyers have lied to the court and committed a fraud against the tribunal, for there to be nothing done, including the counselors. So you have all these state actors, and that's all they're doing is acting. It is the worst part about for a parent or anybody, and for my sake, is that you are doing it right, or think you're doing it right, only to constantly see it thrown in your face that it doesn't matter how right you are doing it or how right you are.
Yeah.
It's their sandbox.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to one of the things that you said about $1 for every campaign contribution to $1 this way. I believe, and I think that it should be this way, is that I don't believe that if you're a lawyer, or anybody for that matter, you practice law in that county, you should never be able to run for an office in that county.
Yeah.
Because the only thing you're going to do is you're going to rule on the friends' cases and the colleagues' cases from here on out.
Yeah.
So who do you think automatically gets accreditation compared to somebody off the street that you clearly don't know?
Right.
Even if you met him in the first part or her in the first part of your campaign,
right.
you'd never remember him
Yeah.
unless there was a real reason.
Yeah.
But you'll remember that lawyer.
Yeah.
So every time they come in there and they go back there and do the smoking pony show in the very back chambers, and they've already figured out the case before they even came out,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be allowed. So if you took your candidates and you went 3 counties over that don't know who they are and told them that's where you're running,
Yeah.
they would have to actually go out and see the public.
Yeah.
They'd have to have town halls. They would have to actually get to know people and run. And I truly think that that's the only way that we would have any actual unbiased recourse, is they don't get to practice and then turn around and get to make rulings on it.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing is that, once you get a judicial position, attorneys are afraid to run against you.
Yep.
Because if they lose, that judge's going to remember, he wanted my seat, and now that attorney is toast.
And guess who is the one who's going to take the hit? The person who's paying the bill.
Right.
The parent who hired you when you gave them that great presentation about fair, and I'm a warrior, I'm blood hungry for your case.
Yeah.
And then they go into trial, and you're sitting there going, all right, we got a good case, we're fighting against this, and it's just like,
the lion has become a pussycat.
Where's my kid? What do you mean I can't get my kid?
Yeah.
You were supposed to fight for me.
Yeah.
And they can't, no matter what they do.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% with you on all of this stuff.